The grind is real. We've had no weather, no ducks, broken down trucks. This is the reality of duck hunting. This year, in the 2024-2025 waterfowl season, at least for us, started off with bad weather, no weather, vehicles breaking down, and no ducks in the area. As always, we started off with the early teal season. This year, my dad and I loaded up and headed to Venice, Louisiana. About a week prior, Hurricane Francine hit and blew most of all the birds out of the area. A decision was made and we headed out anyways. As my dad was turning 81 that weekend and could be one of his last, if not his last, duck hunt. Although not many birds were shot, he did catch his limit of redfish and sheepshead, and memories were made. North Carolina in October has always been an exciting time for me. However, Hurricane Helene came in and tore up the western zone of North Carolina, demolishing boat ramps and all the roads that would lead into there. The following weekend, however, is the North Carolina coastal zone. Produced a few widgeon with my good friend Craig. We scouted that afternoon on a local river and made a game plan for the next morning. However, the duck gods were, well, they were against us. A fuel pump was the culprit and a full day of repairs. I went back home in South Carolina. My local mechanic also noticed that my lifters were ticking and we had to get an engine rebuild. Now that knocked me out for scouting the local areas for pretty much the rest of, or the early November and into the Thanksgiving season. With my truck in the shop getting an engine rebuild, I had to resort to hunting local beaver ponds for wood ducks with my good friends Mark, Cole, and Austin. My home waters of the Santee, Spalkerberry Swamp, was calling my name, and a few hunts with David and his son Hunter was in order, and again, only a few wood ducks were shot. In mid-January, my son Josh, myself, and little Miss Bougie loaded up and headed to Arkansas with dreams of shooting mallards in the timber. We were going there to hunt some public land with my good friend Chris Seaton from Oklahoma and Bryce Vaughn from Arkansas. However, once we got there, Bryce informed us that there was just not that many birds in the area and that they were stale. But hey, what he thinks is not a lot of birds for them is a lot of birds for us here in South Carolina. Still, we were ready to go. On day one, we went to a public walk-in spot. The ducks were there, but we were plagued with other hunters near us and the birds just didn't want to work. That night, Chris got sick and decided to head back to Oklahoma. The second day, a short boat ride on a public lake produced nothing, as only a handful of birds were seen. We scouted the rest of the day and no birds, or very few birds, were seen. So we decided not to hunt the third day and get an early start on the way home. Name your cliche. Should have been here yesterday. The bird showed up the day after you left, or you just should have stayed in bed. And our trip home was no different in the rest of the season. About 30 to 45 minutes after leaving Arkansas and Ruston, Louisiana, truck through a belt. Luckily, we were at a gas station and a parts store wasn't far away. About 2 hours later, we were back in the road and headed home. Somewhere between Atlanta, Georgia and Augusta, Georgia, the belt broke again. And we were able to get it into a truck stop, but it was about 1 o'clock in the morning. A few calls were made and Josh's friend, Matt, drove 3 hours to us. They loaded up the gear, loaded up the boat, grabbed a hold of Bougie, and took off and started heading home. I stayed with the truck, hopefully that morning as it got daylight and places started to open up, I could get it repaired. I was able to get a hold of a really good friend of mine I went to high school with named Perry Webb. He shows up about 7:30, 8 o'clock to help me out. He drives me over to the part store. We get the part. We put the belt on, and as I was getting ready to leave, I noticed that the oil pressure was low. Well, thinking I may have blown an engine, I had to end up calling a mobile mechanic, and I got a hold of Skeeter of A&A Repairs. He came out and got me back up and running. The grind is real. Gear breaks down, no weather, no ducks. We can make all the plans and prepare, but you know what? Life happens, and we can't control it. All we can do is pray for the best and continue to push forward. Making friends, making memories, good, bad, and yes, even ugly. This is stuff we can't control, but this is also stuff that we can laugh over for years to come. I'm always asked, why do you do it? Why do you duck hunt? It's very simple. Duck hunting is not an obsession. Duck hunting is not a passion. Duck hunting is a lifestyle, 365 days a year. Thanks for watching, and we will see y'all next time on Daddy Duck 365. So Chris, where you been?
I had to borrow a tree and use the bathroom. Turn the water a little bit, different shade of brown. You know, might have to do it again.
I'm sorry, the camera's shaking, guys, but I'm laughing.
You know how it is. Out here in the duck woods, I mean, public place, they don't have public facilities. You can't use the bathroom or nothing like that. What's a brother got to do to get some Charmin Extra Soft in here? I mean, come on. I got enough duck feathers. I could have wiped my rear end with that, but
Oh, goodness.
not from us killing any ducks, from everybody else, but I could have picked up a ton of them. Use a piece of burlap, nobody ever knows. It's the same color brown.
Oh, gosh. All right, appreciate it.
Part two of my using the public facilities here. I had my wader pants and my waders dropped down as far as I get them, you know, without getting water in them. And y'all should have seen it. I was sitting like this. There was nothing going to stop me from shooting a duck. They'd have came in my right, they'd have came in on my left. I'd have had them. I'd have dropped a duck and dropped a turd all at the same time. It wouldn't bother me one bit.
Hey, Bryce, a little while ago, you were really upset about something. What was that you were worried about?
Oh, my squirrel. I shot a big red fox squirrel and threw it for Bougie to go get, and it sank on us. Now we can't find it.